Živijo, tukaj je Anže, poslušate podcast Aparatus, kjer legitimni člani družbe povejo, kaj počnejo v življenju. Aparatus ima zdaj naprej tudi sponzorja, tako kot pri gostih sem upal, da bom za sponzorja dobil neko normalno oziroma legitimno firmo. To se je tudi zgodilo, tako da sem zdaj ful vesel, da lahko rečem, da Aparatus podpira Third Frame Studios, podjetje, ki je sicer locirano v Kranju, sicer več ali manj poslujejo s tujimi partnerji. Kaj točno delajo, lahko najdete na njihovi spletni strani www.3fs.si. So pa cool firma, ki je hotela pač podpreti Aparatus. Jaz sem jim zato ful hvaležen, pa tudi jaz sem vesel, da sem dobil enega sponzorja, ki razume, kaj jaz tukaj počnem in je toliko družbeno odgovoren, da podpre eno tako zadevo, kot je Aparatus. Tole pa je 30. epizoda Aparatusa, ki bo tokrat že spet v angleščini. Govoril sem s Gonzalesom, ki piše svoj odličen blog o fotografiji, dizajnu in tehnologiji unretrofight.com. Poleg pa piše še za ful popularen site toolsandtoys.net, kjer recenzira gadgete in appe in podobno. Jaz sem na obe strani naročen in sta mi ful všeč in on ful dober piše. Je pa res, da je bolj pisatelj in ni še nikoli naredil podcast intervjuja, tako da sem vam mogel malo težiti na začetku, ampak je pol končno popustil in sva tole posnela že konc maja. Tako da evo, Chris.
Hello.
So, you actually sound like pretty. So you're on the earbuds now, or?
Yeah, just like the earpod things that came with the iPhone.
Yeah, okay, that sounds way better than I thought it would. So, yeah, because I like the Game of Thrones podcast I do now. We ran late like we always do. Because we had a guest on. He's a feature film director from Slovenia. So.
Oh wow.
So we were trying to do a 45-minute podcast and it never works out. Thanks for doing this, by the way.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, because the excuses were poor. Let's put it like that. Yeah, the excuses did not like. I when I read them, I just said meh. That was the response basically. I knew I'd have to convince you somehow. So
thanks for talking me into it, I guess.
Okay, so we're gonna start basically. Okay. This is it. This is how it starts with me. I don't have a what you call it, like a formatted thing I do at the start. I don't even have intro music, and that's music. That's by design. I hate intro music. So So the first question is, who are you and what do you do?
Well, my name is Gonzales. I live in Oklahoma in the United States, and I write for a website called unretrofied.com, and also for another site that's called Tools and Toys, which is run by Sean Blanc, who you probably know. I write about basically all the stuff that interests me. So it could be technology, stuff about design or photography, gadgets or apps, that kind of thing. Just stuff that I'm interested in. I like, I'll review some apps here and there or talk about, just kind of like whatever technology news is going on that I think is kind of cool. But I don't really do the, Daring Fireball or the Loop type stuff where I talk about, all of the little politics that go on behind the scenes. Just, I just don't care about that stuff. So I don't really get into it.
Yeah, well, that was actually my next question, because that's why I like your site. Because you just have, seriously, it's going to be flattery now, so just roll with it. But
I'll accept it.
No, that's actually why I like your site, because there's none of the whole Apple rumor stuff and all of that. You do mention it here and there, but it's mostly just stuff you actually have where you have something to write about. And so how much of a conscious decision was that?
Well, it really just came after reading those kinds of sites for a long time. And, I've, at some point or another, I've probably subscribed to all of them. And, over the years, I've probably dropped a lot of those subscriptions just because I just don't care. I'm not really interested in the speculations too much. I'm excited when things are announced, but I just don't think rumors are really that, worth all the time and effort people spend on them and all of the news tricks that they try to pull just to kind of get page views and things like that. It's just not really that interesting to me. I'm kind of more interested in, the stories that people have, for why they use certain apps or, what works for them. I'm more interested in kind of just how people use technology, not so much what companies are doing all the time, I have a preference for Apple products and things like that, but I'm not, freaking out about their stock prices or anything every day. It's just not a concern for me.
Yeah, because that's how your site feels to me. Because the magazine I write for is a monthly, so it kind of has that vibe, Just there's sort of a selection process, I guess, you go through. And that recent post you did, like the stock and flow post.
Yes.
So, yeah. Talk more about that, because that's one of those things where it's kind of hard to put into words the way you said you'd like to do your site.
Yeah. Basically, it's kind of just, it was me trying to sort of work through my own, the way I do my own link posts and things like that. I kind of feel bad. I don't know if anyone even cares as they read the site, but I kind of feel bad if I just do like 10 link posts in a row without writing much of anything of value of my own. So I try to, throw some longer form stuff in there, but it's kind of just, as I think I mentioned in the article, Sean Blanc talked about, years ago about how you do those link posts just to kind of keep people up to date on what you're thinking about and what you're reading, but it shouldn't be like the focus of the site. I guess it works for the loop. That's basically what they do, is link out all the time, but I prefer reading stories that the actual, the person who owns the website writes. And I would hope that people that translates to other people reading my site. I would hope that they want to just read what I have to say about something and not just every little thing that I see that I think is all right. I can do that stuff on Twitter if I have to, and I feel like that's a better venue for that. But so I try not to constantly do link posts. It's doing the long form stuff. Maybe it just shows that I'm not just being lazy all the time, because it's easy to do that. It's easy to throw together a link post and just put 2 sentences together about a thing. So I try not to just always do that. And at that point, it's just a matter of what I feel is worth sharing on the site itself versus something on Twitter. Like, Twitter is a good place for me to be silly and share goofy things if I think they're funny. But for the site, I feel like I should try to share things that are, I guess, more pertinent to what the site is about. So I guess that's kind of what I was getting at. I was just trying to figure out, like, what's the best way to do it without being off-putting to readers.
Yeah, because it can get off-putting really fast.
Yeah.
If the link posts just keep coming and there's nothing there, basically.
Right.
But I wanted to ask you, because that kind of ties into the whole RSS thing, since Google Reader is supposedly going away forever and whatever.
That's coming up pretty quickly, actually.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting scared because I have an Android phone and I'm using Press, this app that just uses it, the Google Reader for the sync. Mm-hmm. And they're saying there's an alternative coming, but I'm getting nervous now. Because
I've seen that app and it looks really nice, but I haven't actually tried it.
Oh, that's one of those apps where Android actually looks better than anything on iOS. Uh-huh. It's one of the few apps that is actually better looking.
Oh yeah,
than iOS stuff.
It's gorgeous. It's probably even better looking than Reader, the one I use on iPhone.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That's why I even bought it, because I just used the Google Reader app for a long time, and then people just kept mentioning Press, and I just said, okay, I'll buy it. And then I'm not looking back, basically. No, but the reason I wanted to ask about RSS is because RSS, to me, it seems like it's best suited to sites like yours, where the posts aren't like, there's not 17 posts every day, right. And maybe a day goes by when nothing happens. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to ask you, how do you see RSS and then the site you have? Like, do you like people to subscribe or to visit the site, or what are your feelings on that?
Well, a lot of people will talk about how they think RSS is dead and that Twitter is a better place to catch up on stuff. But I'm still a big believer in RSS. Maybe that's just an old-timey way of thinking about it, but I feel like Twitter just moves so quickly, and it's really easy to miss things. Even when I get on Twitter nowadays, if there's been like over 100 posts or something since the last time I checked it, I don't really like to go back and scan through every single thing. I just want to be caught up in whatever's happening in the moment. So there's a good chance I would miss a lot of stuff that way. So I think RSS is good for that, just because typically the pace is slower. Usually the RSS app that you're using, or even the Google Reader client, while it exists, is a good place to read stuff, I think. I don't usually click through to people's actual sites unless I just kind of like the design of it. So if people want to read my site, I mean, I've got a Twitter feed for the site if people want that, and that's great. But if they want to read through RSS without visiting me, that's perfectly fine with me. I do like the way my site looks, so maybe if people want to click through just to look at it, that's cool too. But yeah, I mean, I love RSS, and I plan on sticking with it for a while, even after Reader goes away. Hopefully one of these other guys that are coming up will be a better choice. And I haven't really picked one just yet. I mean, I'll probably still be using that Reader app on my phone, but it'll be using a different back-end sync.
Yeah, but you're lucky because you already have Feedbin. Because I think Feedbin was that's a service that I think charges like $20 a year, and I think Reader supports it now. Yes,
I believe so. I haven't. Yeah. I don't know that. I've signed up for so many of these things recently. I can't even remember which ones I paid for. I know I've got. I paid for the News Blur, I think. Feedbin. There was the other one that just came out. Feed Wrangler. I have not tried that. That's the one I have not tried yet, but I've heard it's good.
Yeah, I had to write an article for like Google Reader alternatives, basically.
Yeah.
So I had to try them all out.
Which one did you like?
Well, I actually liked Feedbin, and the reason why was because I had to pay for it. So there's some longevity there, I hope. And it was really basic. So if press decided that Feedbin was one of the options, I'd be set. That'd be fine for me. And the old Reader was kind of cool. If you just want, because I actually spend a lot of time in the Google Reader web view. Mm-hmm. So like the old Reader kind of. I spend
my time too when I'm at work on my on the Windows machine. That's what I use all day long, and it's perfectly fine for me.
Yeah, that's where the old Reader kind of made more sense to me, because it kind of has that Reader feel, and you basically don't miss anything. But they were swamped anyway when they announced it. Like all of these services just buckled basically.
Oh yeah.
Because everybody was just signing up like crazy. Yeah, so yeah, my recommendation was Feedbin if you want to pay, and if it's free, just the old Reader. That was basically it. That's why I think I wrote at the end of my piece. So
I think Feedbin was the one I was kind of leaning towards. I just hadn't really settled on it. I'm just kind of putting it off until closer to July when it's all supposed to happen, because you never know which companies might spring up out of nowhere, and that kind of stuff at the last minute. That's probably when I'll be making my decision, is like at the very last minute.
Yeah, when you won't be able to log into Google Reader, basically.
Exactly. I'm going to go, I won't be able to log in. I'll do a little crying, then I'll switch over to something else.
You gave me a great segue there where you mentioned the design of your site, and I love it, by the way, because it's minimal, and I like stuff like that anyway. But
yeah, I really like that too.
How much of thought you put into that? Because it seems like you actually took care of everything. It wasn't just like a default theme that you kind of mangled a little, but it kind of seems, I just want to know, because you seem to have like an affinity for like nice things, like well-designed things. So how was it when you decided on like the font for your site and stuff like that? What was that process like?
Well, it did start, I mean, it's a Squarespace site, so they all start with a template somewhere. And once I had kind of settled on how I wanted things laid out, which was, in my case, was a single column, which is what I've got now, it really was just experimenting a whole lot with, going into the CSS and editing all of the little things. I think the typefaces on there have changed like at least 24 times. I feel like I'm never really finished with it, but the way it is right now is, I'm pretty happy with. I didn't used to have I used to have a sans serif typeface everywhere, because I thought that looked nice and modern. And then I realized when I'm actually reading other people's sites, I prefer serifs. So I switched over to that. I like big fonts because my eyesight is terrible. So it's just because of your eyesight you just like the big fonts. Yeah. Plus it just kind of looks nice. The way it looks now, kind of makes me think of kind of like an old school magazine or newspaper type, design, which is kind of appealing to me. So it was really just a lot of experimentation. And plus the particular template that I have going on right now, there's a lot of stuff that I had to go in and change through the CSS to make it all work right. And that's I guess that's kind of how I taught myself a little bit of CSS. I mean, I'm not good at CSS by any stretch, but I just kind of had to, once I kind of figured out the little things that I wanted to make right, I did a little research and now I've got a bit of a CSS file that, it's got a lot of little tweaks in there. Yeah. I mean, it's just experimenting, really, doing a little research here and there to just kind of figure out what I hated and what I liked. And eventually I settled on what I've got now. And I don't plan on changing it again for a while, but it's, you never know.
Oh, you'll change it again.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure I will in the next week.
Yeah, I'm the same way because I'm by no means a programmer, but I know a little HTML and CSS, and
right.
Then I just tweak stuff, and then stuff breaks, and then it's like an evening goes by before I fix stuff. And
I've broken the site several times trying to fix things, but I think it happens to be at times no one's really looking at it. So thankfully, no one's ever emailed me like what the hell is happening. But
I've just had one occurrence like that when it just didn't work, and it wasn't my fault that time. So yeah, so basically I haven't broken it on purpose yet. So okay, so I want to talk to you about why do you like to write? Because the last week I talked to Mike Hurley, and he's a radio guy. He's just an audio guy basically at heart. So why aren't you that? Since I had to convince you to do this, almost force you. So why are you a writer?
Well, that's a good question. I haven't really been much of one throughout the rest of my life. I mean, like going through school, I kind of hated any writing assignments that were handed to me, but I've always got things on my mind that I'd like to get out, and writing, I've discovered in the last few years, it's just a good way to get that stuff out of my system. Anything I feel like I've got to say about a subject. I'm not much of a natural speaker, so when I can, I like to write. I find that it's easy to write. I mean, some people seem to struggle with it, and sometimes I come up against like a writer's block type thing where I can't think of something, but once I get going, it's just words just kind of come to me a lot easier than when I'm speaking. So, and I like it because if I have to go back and fix something, that's super easy. Like I can't turn back time and fix the stuff I just said out loud 2 seconds ago. So, writing I don't know. It just feels more comfortable to me. It's, kind of cathartic where, it's kind of hard to explain really. It just feels good. I just like getting my words out. I like the process of it. I like going back and fixing the little things and tweaking until it's just exactly what I wanted to say. And I kind of enjoy storytelling a little bit. So if I feel like I've got something to say and I get to write something, long form about it, I just, I'm proud of that kind of stuff when I'm done. So, I guess all those writing assignments I hated in school were just because it was stuff that didn't interest me. And, now that I've found stuff that I'm interested in writing about, it's become a lot more fun, and I spend a lot of time doing it. So,
when you mentioned the process, which, everybody has their own, but like, what does that entail for you? For like a long form post on your site, like how does it begin and then sort of progresses until it's online?
Well, usually the way it starts is with the Drafts app on iOS, the one that Federico Vitici writes about a lot on Mac Stories, and a lot of other people, they have all these workflows they do with it. But for me, it's just a great scratch pad because I can just open it up. It's super quick, and I can just I've got sometimes like an idea will just come to me, and I just need to write it down real quick before I lose it because I will forget. I have a terrible memory, so I'll lose things all the time. So what I do is I open this app, just jot it down, and I've got a little action that will send it straight to Evernote and onto a list of post ideas that I've come up with that I just kind of go through. And as inspiration strikes, or if I look at that list and I think of something to add to one of those posts, I just, start up a document. Usually when I'm actually writing an article, I'll do it in the Byword app that's also on iOS. So, I might glance at the list and Evernote, think of something to write about from one of those titles that I came up with, go back into Byword, actually start putting something together, and it's all synced through Dropbox. So, if I reach a stopping point on my iPad at home or something, and then the next day I'm at work, I'm on my Windows 7 machine there, but everything's in Dropbox, so I can open up an app there, which nowadays I'm using Notepad++ on Windows. So I can just open it up there, just keep writing, save it, and, go back and forth for some indeterminate amount of time until it's all done, or I feel like I'm just ready to get rid of it, and then I just go onto Squarespace and publish it. So I don't usually do a whole lot of composing on the actual Squarespace, back end editor. I just kind of copy everything in there at the last second, put the tags on that I want or whatever, and then just publish it right away as soon as I feel like I'm ready.
But like when you write on iOS, you don't use the on-screen keyboard, right? I mean, you have some Bluetooth thing, I'm imagining.
Well, I did used to just use the on-screen keyboard, and it worked. It was okay. But I did get one of those Logitech Bluetooth keyboards. I've actually got my iPad in it right now.
Oh, and the one you reviewed?
Yes.
Oh yeah, we had that at the magazine. I tried it. Yeah, that's a pretty awesome keyboard, basically.
Logitech ultra thin Bluetooth keyboard. Yeah, and it's been really great. I love this thing. So because I've always been a pretty good typist, and I just using the on-screen keyboard is okay, but it's kind of like hunting and pecking at the keys, where with the physical keyboard, I could just fly through the stuff, and it's as someone who gets frustrated if I can't get a thought out of my head fast enough, it's a lot better to do it this way than before. I can just write really super quick, get my crappy first draft out, just spit it all out on the screen, and then go back and look at it all later. But at least it's out of my system really quick that way.
Why no clicky keyboard then? Since you do write for the site that Sean Blanc writes for, so
yeah.
I'd expect he that's mandated.
Well, he I'm sure if he could force me to use a keyboard like that, he would, because I know he's a big evangelist for clicky keyboards. But I don't know. It's just this thing is it's kind of clicky, really. It's good enough for me. If there was one that I would upgrade to beyond this, it would just be like the Apple wireless one. I don't really get too geeky about keyboards. I just want one that feels comfortable and I can write well on it. And like I could just use a cheap like Dell keyboard that comes with the package with any tower or whatever, and it's not a huge deal to me. And maybe Sean would vomit if I said that to him, but
yeah, I'm the opposite, because I have a clicky keyboard, mm-hmm. and like my dream is to own a Model M, the IBM ones, the old ones. Yeah, that'd be a friend of mine actually got one at it's not even a garage sale. It's next to a junkyard. There's a guy who just collects electronics, kind of cleans them up and sells them for I think he got a Model M, a working Model M. Wow. All of the switches worked for €2. I am not joking.
Wow.
That's insane.
I've seen people pay a lot of money for a Model M, so that's
I know.
Really impressive.
Yeah, because he just had like there was a section at that store or whatever it was called keyboards. It was like a bunch of crappy Genius stuff for like $2 you can get them, right?
Yeah.
And then the Model M, and they were all €2. That was
that is an amazing deal. Even I'm not a keyboard guy, but I know that's a good deal. So that's really cool.
Let's talk about tools and toys and how you got involved in that, and explain to people what that is.
So tools and toys is, well, if you don't know who Sean Blanc is, he's the guy that writes SeanBlanc.net. And, he's pretty big in the Apple blogging community, runs his site full time, but he has this side business called Tools and Toys where, each day, throughout the week, we post multiple, just things that we think are cool that people might want to check out. So it could be a cool app that we came across. It could be clicky keyboards. It could be iPhone cases. It could be all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's if you go back to the history on the site, it's toolsandtoys.net. You can go back there and look through a bunch of stuff that we've posted. And the way that I got involved with it was, I believe it was just after the new year this year. Back in January, maybe like a week or two in, and I got an email from Sean one day saying that he had been reading my site for a while and appreciated what I was doing. I believe his words were that my site seemed driven or focused, and he wanted to offer me a position on the site where I just post, like, all I have to do is post one thing a day, Monday through Friday, maybe Saturdays sometimes. Although the other guy that I work with on there, Stephen Hackett, who runs 512pixels.net, he typically will do something on Saturday, so I don't worry about it too much. But I was super excited about that opportunity to get, that email came out of the blue. Like, I hadn't had a whole lot of correspondence with Sean before, except when I'd emailed him a few times in the past to get advice about something regarding my site. And I guess maybe that's how he found out about the site. I guess he subscribed at some point after that and liked it enough that he wanted to offer me a job there. And that's I was obviously I took it. I was like, man, this is amazing. I've been reading Sean's site for so many years and I've been such a big fan. So I'm still amazed now to think about it. I'm a fan of Steven's work too. They're both guys that I consider to be like A-list big names, and I'm just some guy. And and to get the opportunity was so cool. So I went for it. And so I've been doing it for the last several months. Haven't missed too many days, except when I was on vacation and wasn't feeling so great, which I think I talked about on that keyboard review. But, it's been going well. Sean has given me a lot of feedback saying that, telling me what I could use some improvement on or what I've done well. And I've learned quite a lot. I think actually it's influenced, the way that I write on Retrified, because it's, when I started on Tools and Toys, I was a little too prone to just basically write a novel about the thing that I was linking to. So he kind of instilled the idea of cutting things down just to like the core ideas, and that kind of thing has stuck with me. So I've been learning a lot, and it's been a lot of fun. I've come across a lot of cool things, some that I've posted, some I haven't, but I just come across a lot more cool stuff now, which is a funny little side effect. So I think that's actually what led me to buying this iPad keyboard eventually, because I'm pretty sure Tools and Toys is where I heard about it first, and it's just been a great experience so far. I love it.
How do you guys decide what to put on Tools and Toys? How does that process work? Because I'm guessing Sean's sort of the editor of the site, I guess. But
well, he will jump in from time to time, but he mostly leaves it to Steven and I, and Steven and I don't even really collaborate a whole lot. We may work together a bit more as the site grows, but we pretty much are left to do our own thing unless we screw something up real bad. And I just have to keep an eye on things that come through my RSS or things that other people link to on the internet. If I come across a cool thing, I just make sure to bookmark it for later. So I've got a list of things, in case there's a rainy day and I don't have anything to talk about, I can always go back and be like, oh yeah, this was a cool thing. I can just write about that real quick. So it's basically just, it's not necessarily something that we're trying to sell to anybody, because it's not like we're making any of these products. It's just stuff that we think is worth sharing. So, as long as we think other people, and there is kind of a certain audience that we're aiming for, like the people who are into, design stuff or app development or gadgets. Like those are that's kind of our core audience. So anything that might appeal to those people is kind of what we aim for. We could technically post just about anything we want, but it's not like we're going to go on one day and post something about My Little Pony. It just doesn't work that way. So it's just something that, just something we're kind of left to our own devices. And so far it's worked out well, but every now and then, even Sean will like email me sometimes and be like, hey, I found this cool thing. If you want to add it to your queue sometime. And then I just get around to it whenever I can. It's not like a very strict environment. It's really cool. I really enjoy that.
So what do you consider, like, what's your criteria when choosing stuff for the Tools and Toys? Like your personal criteria. I know like the design and well-designed stuff, but there's gotta be some elements that you kind of look for and stuff. Or
well, let's see. It's kind of, I don't know. It's just kind of something I feel out, when I'm looking at something. I just kind of, it's really hard to describe. It's just kind of something, I either feel it right away or I don't. If I think that it will appeal to the people that read the site, then I it has to be something I think is cool too. I think that's the first thing. And then if I think that translates to the people reading the site, hopefully then I'll write about it. But it's, like if it's an app, I feel like it should be well designed. It needs to offer some kind of functionality that maybe they haven't covered a billion times on the site before, something new, kind of fresh. I try not to post about any items that aren't at least somewhat current. Like, I'm not going to go and post some keyboard that's 2 years old if there's something that's better, that, just a bit newer. So something that's current, well designed, or beautiful even. Sometimes the items on there are very simple, but they're just really nice. I mean, like, I think I posted a thing yesterday that was a bamboo caddy that you can put your phone in it and your keys and a pen or whatever. It's real simple, but it just looks really nice, and I thought that was worth posting about. I don't know. It's just kind of feel it out. It's just sort of what feels natural.
Yeah, well, you have an eye, and then that's pretty much it. It's mostly gut instinct, though, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's I try not to think about it too hard. It's just kind of like, once I see something, I kind of have an initial gut reaction about whether or not it'll be something that would be fitting for the site. So if it doesn't just automatically catch my eye or get me excited in some way, then it's probably just not going to make the cut. I'll probably just forget about it and not write anything. Because there is a lot of crappy stuff out there that is just not worth people's attention. So I try just not to link to that type of thing.
You see, you're lucky. I get to review Chinese Android tablets every once in a while.
Oh God, I'm sorry.
Yeah, every once in a while you do get a good one. I mean, to be fair, but sometimes it's just the weirdest stuff you've ever seen, basically.
See, that's the nice part, is that we don't have. It's not like this huge news publication where I would, at least this is how I imagine a lot of big websites have to do things. The writers will get handed something from an editor and just told to review it, even though they think it sucks. And luckily, the way we run the Tools Toy stuff, or the way Sean runs it, rather, we just kind of get to do our own thing, and it's totally relaxed. I mean, I hardly ever hear any negative feedback from Sean or anyone else about stuff. It's been really great.
Okay, before we go to your software and hardware stuff that you use, we have to talk about Matt Alexander, because that's how I kind of, I knew your site and the tools and toy stuff you did, but then we kind of intersected through Matt, basically. So we have to figure out some way to mention him. So I can just put him into the description. so he'll just see we talked about him. So what should we, how do I do this? We won't mention the sexy cruise.
I was just about to say, you got to mention sex cruise, or else it's not going to work.
Okay, so I'll put that into the show notes as well. So, okay, we have the sexy cruise now. No, but okay, I will ask you this though, because you seem that's the one thing I also wanted to talk to you about. So I'll tie it in here. You use Windows at work,
yes.
Right? But you're an iOS guy personally,
right? And one of these days I'll have a Mac too. Just whenever I get around to saving up the money.
Okay, so my question was how and the fact that you're kind of you don't like the whole link blog people that do rumors and stuff. Where are you in the whole tribal mentality of Android, iOS, Windows, Mac thing? What are your thoughts on that? How that?
This is actually a perfect way to mention Matt, because he and Mike, who you just interviewed. They have that Bionic podcast where that's basically what they talk about, is all these competing platforms, and they try not to take sides. They just whatever excites them about any company's stuff, they talk about that. And I am probably not exactly like Matt in that way. Not that I hate other companies or anything, because I think it's just kind of silly to sit around and hating companies all day. But I do think the stuff that is happening on Android nowadays is pretty cool. Google is doing some really neat stuff. I will never deny that. I just prefer the stuff that Apple makes. That's just how I am. The kind of rabid fanboy thing you would hear about, if you take part in any comments on any gadget blogs, it's just full of people just so pissed all the time and just fighting with each other about the brand purchases that they make, which is kind of silly to me. I think people should just use what works best for them, and just not really care too much about what other people are doing, except unless they're just interested in the way people get things done, but not like in a hateful way. I wouldn't try to be judgmental if one of my friends was an Android user, which I do have a few friends that are. And it's just not a big deal to me. People can use whatever they like. So, I do have preferences for certain things, but I don't look down on what other people use. I think that's a waste of time and energy. And, I guess that's kind of where I stand on it.
Yeah, see, that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, because you seem like one of us. But no, but seriously, it's gotten so prevalent, that whole tribal mentality, that I'm trying to, I want my Twitter feed and my RSS feeds to kind of reflect, like the more normal, measured approach to the whole thing than the people yelling at each other.
I would agree.
Basically. Okay, so let's go to the hardware and software, and I guess we'll start with your hardware. So what do you use?
Leaving the stuff at work aside, because that's just what I've been handed. At home, I've got right now I've got an iPhone 4S that I've had for a couple years now. I hope to upgrade it this fall whenever the new thing comes out, whatever it is. And I've got the iPad 4, which is the latest Retina model, and then I've got the Logitech ultra thin keyboard, and I guess you could count the earbuds that I'm using. I guess I don't keep a whole lot of hardware right now. I've never been one to accumulate that kind of thing. So I try to keep it simple. I've got what I need to get my writing done, and that's really what I care about. So, the iPad that I've got, it's a 16 gig Wi-Fi only. I think next time I get an iPad, I'm going to get a cellular model, because this one has to stay home a lot of the time where I have a Wi-Fi connection. I live in Oklahoma City, so there are places with Wi-Fi, and there are a lot of them, but it's not ubiquitous the way it is in a lot of other cities, like, San Francisco or whatever, where they probably have Wi-Fi around every corner. So the iPad stays at home a lot, unfortunately. But, anytime that I don't have the iPad, I've always got my phone to do, other little things while I'm out and about. I used to write on it quite a bit before I got the iPad, but nowadays it just feels cramped. So it's mainly used for keeping up with Twitter and stuff like that.
Okay, so speaking of Twitter, which clients do you use?
I kind of bounce back and forth between Tweetbot and Twitterific 5. I really, really like both for different reasons. I tend to go back to Tweetbot a lot more often just because it's faster to load the timeline. I really love the design of Twitterific 5. I think it's a beautiful app, especially the dark mode. But whenever I open it up, you sit there and watch the little bird flapping his wings it just feels like forever compared to Tweetbot. So I get frustrated really easily, and I usually just move back to Tweetbot.
So are you a unified timeline guy or lists or?
Yeah, I do run unified timeline because I don't get 1,000 replies a day like some people might. So it's pretty manageable for me to see everything within my timeline. And if it's reaching one of those times where, like I said earlier, where I have to kind of just skip a lot of stuff that I've missed on Twitter, I can always just hop over to the mentions tab and see stuff there. So I'll run unified most of the time, but I haven't actually done a whole lot of the lists until recently. The first one I actually started was an RSS list because of the whole Google Reader thing. I wanted to experiment on Twitter to see if I could use Tweetbot as, kind of a, makeshift RSS reader. If I just had an RSS list try to find the Twitter feed for each site that I like to read and just subscribe to it and then keep it all in an RSS list. And that way, if I need to, I can just hop over to it and read stuff right there. And then I just created another list recently. I called it A list, it's just like the people that the people that I would not want to miss any tweets from if I could choose. I follow about a couple hundred people, I think. And, I follow all of them for a reason, but some of the time, you don't want to see everything that they post, especially if they're going on a tangent about something one day. You don't want to have to scroll through all of it. So I just, if they do a lot of that, they're not on this A-list thing that I made. And that way, if I feel like I'm going to miss a whole lot, I just hop over to A-list, see what the people that I like most are posting, and then I feel like I'm caught up enough that I don't have to worry about the other stuff. So those are my two lists, but I don't use them a whole lot. The RSS one was kind of an experiment. I'm still not too huge of a fan of using Twitter that way. So I'm still using RSS, but it was fun to try it. I mean, it was worth a try.
Okay. So now, since you basically review apps, like, the ones that you actually use, that's my question. Just the ones that you actually use on your phone and your iPad. Like, not the ones that you think that are cool, but the ones that you actually use.
Well, I mentioned the Twitter ones, and I use Reader a lot. I also am really big into Instapaper. I always kind of have been, at least for the last 4 or 5 years, or however long it's been. I'm in Instapaper all the time, and I use Evernote quite a bit. I'm a big Dropbox user. Let's see. Day One, the journaling app, I use that from time to time. Not every single day, but if I'm going to journal something, that's where I go, because it's an awesome app. I live in Byword quite a bit when I'm writing something for the site. So I guess mainly reading and writing type stuff. Those are my main uses. I mean, I also go into the YouTube app quite a bit because I get distracted and I like to watch a bunch of videos at once, but the reading and writing stuff is kind of what so I guess for the reading part, I also spend a lot of time in iBooks and Kindle, because I like to read ebooks on the iPad. And
but you don't have any Kindle hardware, or?
Right. I do buy stuff from the Kindle store, but it's all in the Kindle app on iPad. I've never actually owned a Kindle, but the app works pretty well for me.
Okay. I just figured, because you're a font guy, you'd probably like the e-ink stuff. But
I really actually. There are times I really wish I had, like, the Paperwhite, the newest Kindle. It looks amazing, but
it is.
But I feel like I get enough utility from my iPad that it's not necessary to have the second device,
Yeah, but the Paperwhite's awesome.
It really is.
It's so awesome.
It's tempting to pick one up. But
especially for you guys, because you get the special offers ones, and they're like $20 then, right? I mean, it's seriously cheap over there.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, because if you get it, we have to buy it from the US Amazon store, which,
really?
makes sense somehow. Yeah, I don't know why. It's the only one that actually, if you want it shipped to Slovenia or like a bunch of other countries, you have to buy it from the US store. I mean, it gets here in like 2 days via FedEx or something, but it's still, I don't get why I can't buy it from like the German Amazon or like the UK one. That's fine. Odd. Yeah, I don't know. Like, when I bought mine, I have the second generation, 3G model. When I bought mine, I had to do that. Maybe now with the Paperwhite, they finally, like, you can buy it where it's closer, but I don't know. Yeah, the only reason I'm not upgrading to the Paperwhite is because my 3G, I get free internet everywhere.
Oh, okay.
So that makes way more sense over here.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you get into a roaming situation pretty quickly. Yeah, you guys don't even know what that is most of the time. So.
I've heard some nightmare stories about roaming charges with people visiting Europe from here.
No, you haven't. You think you have. No, seriously. Because, like, when Americans come here and, like, the roaming charges are outrageous. Like, try going to Serbia. Like, you just look at your phone, it's like €5. That you don't even have to pick it up. Seriously, it's insane. Because, like, the EU, like, we're in the EU, Slovenia's in the EU. Like, if you're in the EU, the European Union basically made, like, there's a law or something where they have to keep their prices down because it was getting out of hand.
Right.
So, like, if I'm in Slovenia and I go into Italy, it's like, I don't know, 13 cents per SMS or something, which is manageable.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Because I think even here, I mean, I don't get charged much for that anymore with iMessage, but I'm pretty sure it's still something like 10 cents a message, so that's not too bad.
Yeah, but like, even when you go outside of the EU, it gets like loan shark crap. Like, I don't even know. Seriously,
$10 a SMS.
Yeah, almost. I mean, close enough. Basically. Yeah, seriously, it's like €4 an SMS or something like that. It gets insane. And like we neighbor Croatia, and like most of us go to the like holidays and stuff there because they have like the greatest beaches ever. But like it's insane over there.
Wow.
That's why, yeah, seriously. Like when I hear Americans complain like, yeah, my roaming charges from France were awful. I'm like, no, they were not. If you like paid $50 for like a week, that's just nothing. Yeah. Okay, that was a weird tangent, but yeah, okay. My last question, which is always the same, is do you have a piece of hardware or something physical that you feel like it was made for you? And it can be anything. It doesn't have to be a gadget or something tacky.
Well, at the risk of probably using the same answer as a lot of people, I would probably say my iPhone, honestly. Because I feel like, and there might be like an addict's, like iPhone Anonymous or something for this, but I'm just like on it all the time. I should probably cut back, but I'm just constantly on the thing, checking my email or Twitter or, capturing little ideas that I have throughout the day, hopefully before I forget them. If I don't have it with me, it just, something feels off. My whole day just feels weird if I don't have my iPhone. So I'm just so used to it. And, of course it's not made just for me, but it just, I feel like it's probably the best tool that I have. I love the thing.
See, that was a great answer anyway. So. Now, because I had a couple of people say iPhones, but like I wrote in my email, I got like electric kettles and room warmers.
Yeah.
So,
I'm also a big fan of air conditioning. That's probably my second favorite technology of all time.
Well, so Oklahoma is really hot or just hot? Like, I don't know the climate.
Well, throughout the year, Oklahoma is actually pretty known for big weather changes rapidly. So, like throughout 1 week, you might have one day where it's 80 or 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And then a couple of days later, it's almost down to freezing. It just kind of depends. But like throughout the summer, it is when it gets pretty hot nowadays. I mean, it's not uncommon to see, like 104 degree Fahrenheit temperatures, which I'm not sure what that is in Celsius, maybe like 40. So.
Yeah, that's insane.
Something like that.
Yeah,
So I'm not someone who enjoys hot weather. I walk outside and I just immediately just feel drained and I get a headache when it's that hot. So I stay with the air conditioning as much as possible, and it's probably my second favorite thing of all time. I would hate to not have it.
Yeah, and you guys just had a tornado or something there, right? That's what I saw.
Yeah. The last couple of days there have been a couple of big tornadoes. Yesterday was the worst, and luckily I was not affected, and nobody that I personally know was affected. All my family members and friends are okay. But,
that's good.
But it was in a town that I am very familiar with, and it was just about 30 minutes south of my location where I was at. I was at work, and it was about 30 minutes south of there. Maybe 20 minutes. It just kind of depends. But, I've had a lot of friends from the town where it happened, which was Moore. It's called Moore. And, some of, friends that we have, like, not super close friends, but like, my wife's, so she teaches a dance class, and some of her students, live out there, and, nobody that we know was hurt, but, it feels close enough still anyway, just because like a lot of the areas that got torn down are places that we have been to quite a bit. It still felt pretty close, but like, I can't imagine the actual nightmare that must be for the people who are really dealing with that right now. And, like the people that were in the schools that got demolished, and I just can't even imagine what those guys must be going through. I mean, I've lived in Oklahoma my whole life, so you kind of get used to tornado season. I mean, it's like every May, basically, it kind of happens almost every May, almost like clockwork. And you you get, desensitized to it just a little bit. So, it's not uncommon for, even when you've got a tornado siren blaring outside, people want to go outside and just look at what's happening. Like, they just.
Yeah. But there's an actual siren.
Yeah. We actually have sirens outside all over the city. So they test them every weekend, like Saturday at noon, right on the dot. They'll flare for like 5 or 10 minutes just as a test. So we hear these sirens so much that we're just used to it. And when something like this happens, it's not that we're unprepared because of where we live, we have really, really good weather reports that they're almost like down to the minute before you get hit. They're telling you, like, within 30 minutes you're probably going to be in the line of fire and you need to get safe. And we have pretty good precautions in place, but you just
it's a tornado.
I feel terrible, but at the same time, it's like, and I don't want to sound like a bad person, but it's just almost like an expected thing every year that it's going to happen. Just because of where we live, it's just how it is. I wish it.
Yeah, it's May in Oklahoma, basically.
Yeah, I wish it weren't like that, but it's really unfortunate. I hope that everyone down in Ward is doing okay. I haven't had any contact with any of the victims myself yet, but I'm hoping to. I don't know. I've been trying to get people to kind of donate to the Red Cross a little bit and try to help out. That's about the best I can do, because otherwise if I were to go down there and try to help, I'd probably just get in the way. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I'm just glad you guys are okay.
Well,
so
appreciate that.
Because I just saw the pictures and that looks terrifying to me. So just terrifying.
Yeah, it's freaky for sure. And where I was, when we started hearing the sirens, I'm in an office environment, and it's like the company policy. As soon as those sirens start blaring, if we're on a phone call or whatever, we just have to cut it off and go to the stairwell. And we did that a few times. We were in and out of there like 3 times. But I never really felt like we were in too much danger. If I ever looked out the window, I could not, even if I checked due south from where we were, which was the direction of the tornado, like, I couldn't see anything except dark clouds. I mean, I didn't see the tornado from where I was. I never felt like I was in danger. But yeah, I'm glad we had those kind of precautions. I mean,
yeah. For the tornado season, because that's a word, I guess. So yeah, that's so foreign to me you can't imagine. But yeah, okay. That's pretty much it. That's your interview.
Okay, awesome.
Which you survived.
I made it. Yes.
So you see, the coercion on my part and Mike's was worth it. So. Krisa najdete na Twitterju pod @grombl, GROMBLE, njegov sajt je unretrofite.com, ta drug pa toolsandtoys.net. Vsi linki so tudi na aparatus.si, 2 p sta v imenu. Jaz sem na Twitterju @anzet, feedbacka sem vedno vesel, če ste pa slučajno na podcast naročeni v iTunesih, bo pa kakršnakoli ocena tam dobrodošla, ker tako še kdo najde tale podcast. Evo, to je naslednjega tedna to. Čau.